Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial on REST APIs. In this video, I'm going to show you what a REST API actually is, how I built one using Python and FastAPI, and then we will test every single endpoint live right here on screen. By the end of this video, you will understand what GET, POST and DELETE requests do, what status codes like 200, 201, 404 and 400 means, and you will see real working API in action. So let's get started. Let's get started. So before driving into the REST APIs, we need to understand what an API is. What an API is. Okay. Now, uh, think of an API like a restaurant waiter. Like a restaurant waiter. Let me draw a diagram over here that will give you much more clarity. This is customer, that is your app. Okay. Then you have over here the API, the waiter. Okay. Here's the server, your kitchen. Okay. Now think of this API like a restaurant waiter. Like a restaurant waiter. Now, you, the customer over here or an app, okay, don't go into the kitchen, okay, just don't go into the kitchen. Instead, you tell the waiter that is the API, what do you want? What do you want? Now, this waiter, the API, okay, relays your order to the kitchen, that is the server. The kitchen then prepares your food and gives it to the waiter. Then gives it to the waiter. The waiter brings your result back to you. Brings your result back to you. So API allows applications to communicate without exposing all internal details. Your app doesn't need to know how the server works, just how to ask for what it needs. Okay, what it needs. So API allows applications to communicate without exposing all the internal details. All the internal details. Now REST, which stands for representational state transfer, is a standard way to design APIs using HTTP. That is the same protocol. That is the same protocol your web browser uses. Your web browser uses. Now, REST APIs follow simple rules, so developers everywhere can understand and use them consistently. And use them consistently. Okay. Now let's discuss on HTTP over here. Now there are various HTTP methods. There are various HTTP methods. Okay. The first is the GET method, which means to retrieve data. Okay. And it is safe to call multiple times. Second method is the post method, which means create data, that is create new resource each time. Create new resource or resources each time. Third, put method, that is full update. Fourth, delete, that is to remove data. Remove data. Remove data. Now let's first come towards this one, that is get. Reading data. Now this get, that is read only, that is you are asking for information, not changing anything. You're just asking for information, not changing anything. Let's take an analogy for it. You ask the waiter, okay, you go to a restaurant. Suppose this is a restaurant, okay. So here's a waiter. You ask the waiter, okay, what soups do you have today? The waiter tells you the soups that he has in the menu. That's it. Nothing changes over there. Okay, nothing changes over there. Let me show you some examples to it. Okay, let me show you some examples to it. Now over here, if you see that I have get GitHub user profile. Okay, here get http api.github.com users octocut. Okay, now this fetches information about the GitHub user octocat. You get back their profile data, repos, followers, their bio, etc. This is the response. This is the login of the octocat, its ID, the name, its public repo, the followers he has, and the GitHub. The company is GitHub that he's registered to. That he is registered to. Now let's come to this second example, that is get a blog post. Okay. Now this command get https. What this means is that this gets post 1 from the public test API. Okay, this gets post 1 from the public test API, and this is the response of it. This is the ID, user ID, title is my first post, and this is the content of the post. And this is the content of the post. Now, what do you think about this? Let's dig more into it about get data, or I can say some of the key points of get method. Okay, so first, get reads data only. It never creates or changes anything. Get reads data only. It never creates or changes anything. Second, you can call get 100 times with the same URL and get the same result. Okay. Third, it is safe to use in browsers. Just type the URL, just type the URL and hit enter. Fourth, it cannot send large amounts of data. It cannot send large amount of data as it is limited by URL length. Okay, URL length. Okay, so this is about get. Now, second comes post method. Okay, that is creating new data. Okay, now post is used to create new data on a server. It sends the data along with the request. Okay, let's again take an analogy of it. Like, again, you go and tell the waiter that I would like to place an order for a pizza. That I would like to place an order for a pizza. Okay, the kitchen creates a new pizza for you. So it is like creating a new data. Okay, creates a new pizza for you. Okay, like it is like again creating a new data. Let me show you again new few examples of it. Now come over here and it says create a GitHub repository. Okay, so this is the post https api.github.com users slash okay, slash repos. Then this is the body name description and private is equal to false. Now this creates a new GitHub repository. The server responds with the created repo details including its ID. And here's the response. ID, name my new repo, description, an awesome project, and the URL. And the URL. Okay. And the URL. Second is like creating a new blog post. Okay. Again, post command. This comes posts. This is the body. Server response. Server response. Okay. That is created post. It got the ID, title, body. Here's what I think. And that's user ID. So this is what post does. So post post creates new resources on the server on the server. Second, you send data you send data in the request body. You send data in the request body, not in the URL. Third, each post request typically typically creates something new. Typically creates something new. Now calling post multiple times create multiple resources. You know, I mean to say duplicates. You might end up creating duplicates. Okay. Last but not the least, I would say this post is used for forms, signups, creating orders, or you can say publishing posts. Okay, there could be many, but these are the main ones. Okay, these are the main ones. Now comes put method. Put method. Now put means updating existing data. Okay, so put is used to replace the existing data. You specify which resource to update and what the new data should be. So let's take another or a similar analogy of it. Now you tell the waiter that actually change my order. I want a burger instead of a pizza. So you are replacing the entire order with a new one. So from pizza, which was this, to burger. You know, sorry for my drawing. This is salad and cucumber, and there is a pen of something like that. Sorry for my diagram. Okay, now let me show you again a few examples on put over here. Now, I would like to update a blog post. Okay, this is the put command again. Yeah, sorry, not again. Put command for updating a blog post. The body, the new data that replaces the old post. ID 1, title, updated title, body, completely new content, user ID. So this replaces post 1 entirely with the new data. Okay, entirely with the new data. The response server confirms the update. Server confirms the update. Second example is of user profile. Put http api.example.com users 42 slash user slash 42. Yeah, so this is the post one. Replaces post one. Over here, this is the body name John Doe, email, age 30, city New York. Now this updates user 42's entire profile. User 42's entire profile. Okay, yeah, his entire profile. So, so what put means over here again? So first it updates an entire resource, that is it replaces all fields. Okay, you specify which resource to update in the URL. Okay, you send the complete new data in the body. Okay, it is used for editing profiles, changing settings, and updating records. So important stuff of put method put method. Now next comes delete delete method, that is to remove data over here. Now delete removes something. Okay, so again, you tell the waiter actually cancel my order. Just cancel my order. So the order is gone. Poof, order is gone. Your order is gone. Let me show you one more example over here. Now over here, deleting a blog post. So delete command, this is the link. Now this deletes post 1. Okay. It will return 200. Okay. Which means it's success with confirmation. Okay. If it returns 204, that means no content, success, nothing returned. Okay. Now you can also delete GitHub repository over here. So delete. This is the repos octet. Hello world is a repository. This permanently deletes GitHub repository. Permanently deletes GitHub repository. Okay. So again, delete removes resources permanently. Permanently. Okay. You specify which resources to delete in the URL. Okay. Most APIs, most APIs require authentication before allowing deletion. Okay. Some APIs, some APIs require confirmation before actually deleting. Before actually deleting. So examples of it are removing accounts, deleting posts, removing files, removing files. So this was all about this was all about HTTP methods. HTTP methods. Okay. Now let's discuss about the status codes. Status codes. Now over here there are three types of 3-digit number status codes. Okay, three types of 3-digit number status codes. One is 2xx. Okay, that is success. Another is another is I won't take in this way. Yeah, let me go through it. Okay, right. So first is 2xx success. Okay, success. Another is let me see. Yeah, if it is visible. Right. Another is 4xx client error, and the third one is 5xx, the server error. Okay. Now, when I talk about 2xx, okay, that is the success. So, in it, there are three types of it that comes into picture. First is whenever you see the execution is successful, you might see 200 OK. Okay, which means the request worked, okay, and here's your data. Here's your data. Okay. Another one is 201 created. 201 created, which means request worked again, request worked, okay, and new resource created. New resource created. The third one that comes under it is 204 no content. No content. So again, it means that request worked, but there is no data to send back. There's no data to send back. Okay. So this was all about success. Now, if there is a client error, if there is a client error, then again, there are three categories that comes under it. First is 400 bad request. Bad request, which means you sent malformed data. Malformed data. Second comes 401 unauthorized. Unauthorized. That means you did not provide authentication. No API key, no API key, no login. Okay. Third is 403 forbidden. Forbidden. That is you are authenticated, but you don't have permission. You don't have permission. Last but not the least, this is the server error. Now over here, I think I missed another thing over here. Wait, one more is left. That is 404 not found. Yeah, 404 not found. That is resource doesn't exist. Resource doesn't exist. The last one, that is 5x6 error. Okay. Now this means server error. That is server's fault. Okay. Over here, it means your fault. Okay. Your fault. And over here, simple, it means success. But let's come over here. That is the server error. Now, the first comes is 500. That is internal server error. So it means something broke on the server. Something broke on the server. Right. Another is 503 service unavailable. Unavailable. That is server is temporarily down. That is maintenance overloaded. So when you run all those HTTP methods, try or execute some commands, or try to put in the users, and then you or update the records, or you try to fetch some users with their IDs that you want, or all the users, or delete the records. Then at that point of time you will see these codes. If it is success, then it will show you 200. Okay. If it is an error from your side, then it will say 400 bad request. Or for example, there would be a case when you are going to put duplicate records. Okay. And at that point of time you might see something related to 401 or 403. Okay. Or you are not able to access the server, you will see 500 internal server error over there. Internal server error. Okay. Now let's discuss about the uh, Fast API project. That's yeah, Fast API project. Hmm. Okay. Now here's the project over here. It's a simple user management API. Okay. The main file of it is this app.py. Is app.py. Now, if you see over here at the top, at the top, I'm importing Fast API, HTTP exception for error handling, I and pedantic for data validation. Then I define two pedantic models. Two pedantic models. First is user create, okay, which is what you send when creating a user, and the second is user, which is what gets returned. Okay. Now the difference is user includes an auto-generated ID over here. ID is equal to int. Okay. ID is equal to int. Now the data is stored in a simple Python list called fake underscore users underscore db. Now this acts as our in-memory database. No real database in this tutorial. That keeps things simple and it helps us to focus on only on the API concepts. Okay. Then in the end, I have API endpoints. API endpoints. Okay. I have get over here, get method. Okay. I'm creating a user over here, post method. Okay. Then in case I want all the users, then again I'm using get method over here. Or I want to see a single user through an ID, then it is a get method over here. You can see status code 204 found, 200 user found, 404 users not found. Okay. Then I have delete user. Okay, this method. So each one is a Python function decorated with the HTTP method and the root and the root. Okay, and the root. Now let's try to run this and see what we can get from it. Let's open a new terminal over here and now let me activate the virtual environment. Okay, let me activate the virtual environment over here. I think, yeah. Now, I think it was already activated, I believe. Yeah, it was already activated. Now, this virtual environment ensures we use the project's installed packages and not the system Python over here. And not the system Python over here. Okay. So now you will see that prompt has changed to show VNV. Okay. This means the virtual environment is activate. Okay. Now let's start the server. Let's start the server. Right. Let's start the server. Now, if you see over here, this UVCon, this UVCon is a web server that runs our Fast API app. Okay. Make sure clear. This UVCon is a web server that runs our Fast API app. Okay. This reload, okay, means it will automatically restart whenever I save a change to the code. Whenever I save a change to the code, okay, and our servers is running, okay, on a local host that is port 8000. Okay. Now let's open a browser over here. Let's open a browser over here and let me see. I'll go over here. Let's say it starts around. Yeah. So here is it. This is a Swagger UI. This is a Swagger UI, and this is one of the best thing about Fast API. It automatically generates this interactive documentation page from your code. No extra setup is needed. You can see all our endpoints listed here, grouped by tags. Grouped by tags. Now, blue means over here get is get. Okay. Yellow means post. No, sorry. Green means post and red means delete. Okay. So blue means get, green means post and red means delete. Okay. Now we can actually execute real requests right from this page. Right from this page. So let's see. Let's start with health checkpoint and I'll click the get health to expand it. Okay. Now let's click on try it out. Let's click on try it out and then execute. Now, now you see over here, the response comes back and the status is 200, which means okay. And we can see the API is healthy with zero users in the database right now. This endpoint is useful for monitoring. You can ping it to check if the server is alive. If the server is alive. Now let's create our uh, first user over here. We click on this post. We click on this post and we click on try it out. We click on try it out and over here the name I put over here is Alice Smith and email ID is Alice @ example.com and age is 28. Okay, and age is 28. Age is 28 and I'm hitting on the execute button. So, okay, 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 okay. I can see code status 201 over here, which means created, and the response body shows our new user with an auto-generated ID of 1. Okay. Now the API assigned the ID. We didn't send it. The API has automatically assigned the ID. We did not send it. Okay. Now let's create a second user. Let's create a second user over here. Let me clear this. Okay. Let me clear this or let me reset this over here. Now I'll create a user, new user that is Bob, Bob Bob Jones. Email ID is again bob @ example.com. Okay. And the age I'll be putting over here is 35. 35. Now click on execute. Again I got 201. Okay. And Bob gets the ID 2. So now we have two users in our database. Two users in our database. Now let's do some, uh, let's put some duplication, let's put some duplicate data over here. Okay. We need to check the duplication part of it. Okay. Because I want to show you error handling. What happens if someone tries to register with an email that already exists? Okay. So let me go ahead with this all over again. Let me reset it. Okay. Now I put name as Alice clone. Okay. Email ID is Alice and and I would say this time I won't post the age. Okay, I won't post the age. I'll click on execute and let's see. Okay. So here I got status 409. Now this is a conflict. This is a conflict. It says email already registered, right? Now the API caught the duplicate email and returned a clear error message. That is email already registered. Now this is intentional error handling. The API is protecting the data integrity over here. Okay. Now, now let me close this. Let me close this and let's get all users. Let's get all users. Okay. Let's get all users. Let me try this out. Okay. And let me click on execute. And here the status is 200. Now you can see records over here. Two IDs over here. Okay. Now I get both Alice and Bob. Notice there are also over here. Let's talk about this later. Uh, so if you have thousands of users or hundreds of users, you can get their data over here. You know, you can see their IDs and their entire information about their name and email and age over here. Okay. We also have this skip and limit. Okay. These are for pagination. Okay. For pagination. So if you had thousands of users, you could say, give me 10 users starting from position 20. Starting from position 20. Okay. Now let's close this. Let's close this. Let's close this. Now what I want is that I want to get single user. I want to get single user over here. Okay. So I'll type, I'll type, try this out, one and click on execute. So code 200 success. So I got Alice Smith. If I type 2 over here and execute it, I'll get Bob over here with ID. Okay. So I'll get both of them. This is how you fetch a specific record by its identifier. Now let me show you another thing. What happens if I request a user that doesn't exist? That doesn't exist. Okay. Let me put 99 over here and let me execute. So what I see 404 error not found. User with ID 99 not found. Status code 404. So user with ID 99 not found. Again, this is intentional. The API handles the missing record gracefully and tells the caller exactly what went wrong instead of crashing. Instead of crashing. Okay. Now let's run another method over here that is called delete method. That is called delete method. Okay. Now I click on try it out. Okay. And I would like to delete a particular ID. Okay. I put one in the ID field and click on execute. So it gives me 200 code execute. User deleted successfully. So the first one is deleted. Okay. Now let me confirm the deletion over here. Okay. So let me let me go to get users over here. Okay. And I say clear. Let me cancel, try it out. Okay. Now let me execute. Now I have only one user, that is Bob. Alice has been removed. The data updated in real time. Okay. The data is updated in the real time. Okay. Now let's do one last final health check over here. One final health check over here. Okay. Um, Let me see. Hmm. Cancel, try it out, execute. Okay. Now what you see over here is that total users one. It's one now. Okay. The health endpoint is live and reflecting the current state of the database. And it is reflecting the current status of the database. And that is perfect. And that's just perfect. So that's it. That's it. We just tested our every endpoint at a fully working REST API live on screen. Okay. Live on screen. Okay. We used post to create data and got back 201 created status. Okay, we used get to read both all users and a single user by ID. We triggered a 409 conflict by sending a duplicate email and a 40 not found by requesting a user that doesn't exist. And we used delete to remove a user and deletion. Confirm the deletion. This is the foundation of how almost every web API works. Whether it's the Twitter API, the Spotify API, or a backend you build for your own app. You build for your own app. Own app. So again, if you want to explore further, the code is fully documented. I'll push it on GitHub. If this was helpful, leave a like and let me know in the comments what you what you would like to see next. Maybe adding a database authentication or deploying this to the cloud. Thanks for watching and happy learning.